first word of this podcast was come.
Welcome to Coprolalia, boys and girls and all small creatures. Alright, that's what we got. Welcome to the podcast where me and Giles do a lot of that, and
a little bit of...
that's about as far as our planning goes for it. So buckle up.
Yeah, we met up recently, and it was
did.
suggested that we make some plans, and I thought that was a terrible idea. So we didn't.
We've been planning to
anything.
plan this podcast out for... What episode is this?
15...
We've been planning to plan it out for about 15 episodes now, and yet to change.
I think we're catching up. You know what I mean? Like, we started off behind in every way, and we're almost at the point where we're ready to begin a podcast.
Yes. And is there music playing?
There is, but it's just
What's happening with that?
either it's
Not
not
hearing
loud
anything.
or...
I can't hear anything.
Can you hear that? Wait,
Nah.
shh. Oh, it's just a fountain.
I'm gonna boost the shit out of it on my end.
I mean, it counts.
Oh yeah, it's really quiet, unbelievably quiet.
If I put it on 100%, we've got like these nice water sounds.
Yep. Oh, it's getting louder. Sweet. That's fine.
And there's a little bit of a wood sound. I
It's one
might
of these
actually
ones that
change
fill
it.
up. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's
yeah,
actually
one of those
keeping
ones that fill up.
time for us as well if we wanted it. No,
This
let
podcast is
me,
going to be about eight bucket loads.
Let me fix this shit.
That's 2 bucket loads so far. 8 bucket loads is not very long.
See, I
podcast.
want, I want
So-
some music from the instrument, the gukin,
Mm-hmm.
this Chinese thing. Let me set
Well,
this one
while
up.
you do that, I'll...
you can hear it hitting the wood. It's a great sound.
Yeah, as Giles mentioned, we caught up recently and we got up to some things, which was exciting. We went and saw some comedy, a bit of an open mic night, which was
Great.
hilarious. It was hilarious when it was, and much more hilarious when it wasn't.
Yes.
It was fun to see people bomb. In a nice way, though. It was nice to see people just like being supported by everyone in the crowd, regardless of how well they did.
Yeah, I even found like usually you don't give a laugh to someone who's just. Sorry, the sound is distracting now. Let me turn that down a bit. Here we go. I got something for us.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I
Alright.
gotta turn that down a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, usually you don't give a clap or a laugh to someone who's clearly, who's picked the low hanging fruit. But
Yeah.
there was a joke in the room, I think, on people who were there picking the low hanging fruit. Like some of these people have racked their nerves, or I don't know if that's an expression, but they're nervous about getting up there doing their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then some guy just comes out and he just fucking doesn't give a shit, and he didn't do anything. And it was like pun after pun, and then you start to laugh at the fact that someone actually went to that effort. Who knows? There's just a million jokes you could be laughing at, regardless of their actual pun or joke that they wanted to make. Yeah.
It was definitely a little cringeworthy at times.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, I didn't really see anyone, like... You can usually tell on someone's face when they're up on stage. You can tell, like,
Oh,
that
yeah.
person's never getting on stage ever again. I didn't see that, though. I didn't see any of that. I saw people just having a time.
Yeah,
Not a
having
good time,
old
but having a time.
Yeah.
It looked like they would probably do it again, which is... That's what counts.
There was one girl, I think one of the better ones that night, and she said it was her second time on stage. But
yeah.
now that I think about it, like, how you could just say that as many times as you wanted to if you're anonymous.
That's
You'd
true.
be like, I've never done this before, and everyone gives you a sympathy laugh, and then suddenly you're just milking that for as long as you can.
Yeah. Hey, if that works for you,
I reckon
if you manage to pull the wool over everyone's eyes that many times, then
it happens.
Fucking all the power to you.
It happens with musicians as well. I think. Like I put myself under a certain level of standards. Sorry, a certain standard.
Yeah.
Of like performance, of like technique and song choice and all of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We overlook all of those when someone's just getting up and they're nervous and they play something by Drake or something like that, where you're just like, oh fuck, like, all right, and then everyone claps and encourages them and supports them, but then someone who's put themselves up on this high pedestal and tried really hard, if that falls flat, we're actually not that sympathetic at all. Like, we'll allow someone who's trying really hard to fail tremendously, and we'll allow someone who's not trying that hard and is their first time or whatever to just fail as much as they want, and we're over encouraging. We say, no, that was amazing, even if like they're completely flat or something. We just go like, oh, just keep at it. There's some part of us that we really want to encourage those people, but the others who have only like sort of missed the mark, performing at a much greater level, we'll actually mock way more comfortably.
Do you think do you think there should be more criticism towards the amateurs, or should there be less?
I mean, ideally it should be equal. Everyone gets the same level of torment from their like from bombing or whatever. But for example, my brother did an idol show, like this karaoke style thing, where he did this full-on performance of a Queen song, put all his effort into it, and one of the next people who went out was actually deaf. Yeah. So they were making noises with their mouth, but there wasn't. None of it was like it was. It was the kind of thing you don't want to laugh at, but it's like, wow, like that could not be classified as a good performance or whatever. Yeah. And they won the competition because of that feeling in everyone who's just like, no, we got to encourage the guy who's and it's just like, well, actually that might even be detrimental to the people who are actually giving it a good hard try.
It's weird because like that's like if you're deaf, you actually can't. He doesn't know what he did. Yeah. He doesn't know what it sounded like. So like he's like, sweet, I won, but I've no idea what that sounded like.
So people are just like deluding him or whatever. They're just like, no, that was fantastic.
I mean, you don't want to hold anyone back if they want to do anything. And if they just like doing it, then I guess that's fine. But there's a fine line, isn't there? You can encourage someone, and it can just go totally the wrong way, and they'll just keep doing something shitty. But I don't know.
I have another example. There's a TV show called Nathan For You, where this guy, he's playing a character this whole time and making people feel uncomfortable, but like that's the whole joke of the show. For one bit, he wrote these deliberately terrible parodies of songs, and then he went to an open mic night and just played them. Yep. And you could see the audience was just like confused as to this whole thing. Like, it wasn't funny. It was just like uncomfortable. And they interviewed a couple of people after the performance, asking them, what'd you think? And they were all dancing around the fact that they hated it. They're all dancing. They were just like, oh, if he practices a bit, like there's something there. They're all saying this shit. The last guy they interviewed was some guy standing out on the sidewalk with like a cigarette in his mouth, and he just flat out says to the camera, he's like, man, he fucking sucked. And it was the most refreshing thing to see, because the comedian actually wanted that reaction, but everyone was giving him all of this false praise. And that guy was just like, oh man, he fucking sucked. Yeah.
I think there has to be a fine line between them. Like, I'm trying to think of an example. I don't know. Just like, I guess that there are a lot of people out there who will give criticism, but it'll basically come out as like, oh, you should not do that again. It's like, if it was something that you wanted to do, and in that case that he was trying to fuck up, that was the whole point. So he kind of succeeded when the guy actually criticized it. He failed when everyone danced around it, obviously.
Yeah.
But in other circumstances, when you are trying to do something and you just fuck it up, yeah, there should be room for people to criticize. But you also constantly want people to be like, well, you know, that was bad, but you should do it again. Like,
yeah, that's the most honest, and that would feel the best. Yeah. I personally, I think it should all come from yourself. Like, whether or not you like what you're doing should come from you. Whether or not what you're doing is good should come from yourself. Like, you should be the thing that is the encouragement you need. If you were to ask me for advice, I would say, if it's what you want to do, then you did do a good job. You know what I mean? Some people are just they just throw something against the wall, and they'll only think it's good if someone else says it is. And then they're basically who they are. Their product they produce is someone else's creation. It's like a collaboration of everyone else's ideas, and not even your own personal feelings. Yeah.
Just an example I can think of actually is one place that really frustrated me. And you're right, yeah, you should be absolutely your own drive to do it. Obviously, it's important to have feedback as well. You want feedback. You want people to say, "Oh, that was sick, man."
Yeah.
But one place I found it really frustrating was going with Nikki to see a whole bunch of new music concerts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And me and Nikki were very open to each other, saying, all right, that one was shit. That was boring. This one was fun. This one was interesting, but
and you're both
dull.
musically educated, so you both know, you sort of know what you like, you know what you don't.
Yeah, but a whole bunch of... But going to these, like, all I heard from everybody else there was like, oh, that was amazing. Like, just the sounds you got and all this shit. Like, and everything that it meant, like, all the emotion behind it. I was like, well, I was actually objectively just someone doing a weird noise for about 45 minutes straight.
Yeah.
And if that's what they were going for, then that's totally fine. I know, but I found a lot of them really interesting. There was a lot of gigs that were fascinating to listen to. Good pieces of music, but then some of them were just boring to me, and I felt that there was this air in the room where you weren't allowed to think something was bad because there's nothing you can measure it against, because it's like this wacky experimental music.
And some people that, because they haven't figured out to themselves what they actually think about it, the next opinion they hear that is well worded they'll just adopt it as their own opinion. And have you ever seen it? If you've ever seen it on YouTube, once there's like 10 or so comments that are like praising the video or the song, it's just like everyone else's comment after that is some rewording of that same thing. And it's ridiculous. It's to the point where if you were to post like, actually this was really fucking terrible or whatever, everyone would just be like, fucking troll. Like, you're just getting a reaction. It's just like, so you can't hate something without actually just wanting to infuriate others. All right.
It's funny how serious we take art. And like, obviously I love it. It's my life, wants to be creative in some way.
I take YouTube comments more seriously than art, but I do agree, yes.
Yeah, but like, if somebody else likes something that you didn't like, that's the weird one. Like, if somebody doesn't like something that you like, you're like, oh, well, I want you to like it too.
Yeah.
But if somebody likes something that you don't like, that's absurd for you to get cross at. It's like I still love Star Wars Episode 1. I know objectively it's a terrible movie, but people actually get frustrated when I'm like, no, it was fine. I mean, it's not fine, but like, how many other shitty sci-fi films are there? It's just because it's Star Wars. If it wasn't Star Wars, you'd still watch and think, it's fine. But because it's Star Wars Episode 1, everyone's like, oh, fuck you. You don't know what you're talking about.
But
like,
vice versa is true. Vice versa is true. You probably only like it because it's Star Wars. You know what I mean?
Possibly. Yeah.
Like if that was set in medieval times, right? And it's just a story of these medieval characters. You know what? I'm thinking about it now. That would be a little bit more interesting. However,
some of the characters would suit a lot better. Like Jar Jar Binks would make much more sense in a medieval setting.
You mean like as some sort of slave? As a
stick him in some peasant robes and there you go, yourself a character.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess the Gungan city would be like it'd be like in Robin Hood, you know in Robin Hood they have that like outcast city, the city of I don't know what it's called.
Thieves?
Could be the city of thieves.
I don't know, it just sounds
It's
like
all
something
built-
like that.
yeah, I know, it just rolled off the tongue too in my head. But they have I think that's Aladdin actually or something. But
City of Thieves.
yeah, like Simsalabim. I'm just
City of Roll 'em Up. Because whenever you drive through, you roll 'em up.
Roll 'em up. That expression actually came from when you were on a horse. You would roll up the window. But yeah.
Yep.
You should be the anchor that drives you, which is not what anchors do, but you should be the
It's the exact opposite of what an anchor does.
you should be say by the time you're up on stage and you're performing,
Yep.
the idea that someone going like, oh, you know, it was alright, being enough to make you change your life course is like you were the problem in that equation, not that guy. Like,
yeah. Well, actually, I've got a good example from personal experience from recently, because I was doing the IC Pigeons talk show thingy, and I got a couple of negative comments from people I know.
oh yeah, wait, on the IC Pigeons thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's disappointing.
But what they were kind of confirmed what I already thought of the IC Pigeons thing.
Ah. Okay.
So when I heard them say it, I was like, yeah, I know.
Remember,
I guess you're right.
Remember that a lot of the people around you aren't doing that kind of stuff because they have that voice in their head criticizing their own work. So as soon as they see someone else doing it and having the balls to, that voice comes back out and they're like, hey, I'm going to explain to you the reason I don't allow myself to do this shit.
Yeah.
And they project it onto you. So just be aware of that. I've had people say to me like, yeah, put more color in your stuff and all these kind of criticisms, and I'm just
how can you put more color in your stuff?
Because sometimes I only use one color.
Oh, like more. Okay, so more like
some of my
multiple
stuff,
colors.
Yeah, they want more. Oh yeah.
More than one color.
Yeah. But anyway, I get all kinds of weird recommendations, and it's just like, what the fuck? If you knew what you wanted, you could go out and get it somewhere else. Like I'm gonna be doing the shit that comes to my head, the way that my head wants to do it, and that's just how it's always gonna be. Like maybe if on some chance I actually agree with you completely, say this other person says, hey, you should put like a fucking turtle right there, and I go, fuck, that's what it's missing, I will do that. But if someone says something like, I liked it when you were doing, you know, swirly lines, and I was just like, well, you can go back.
Still there.
You can go back, go save that one to your desktop, and fuck, goodbye.
Well, see, I think it's a good example because you've clearly thought about it. So when someone says, well, you should do it this way, you're like, no, but I've done it because I thought about that. I could do more colors, but I've actively chosen to only do a couple of colors.
Yeah.
And same with somebody criticized my vlogs the other day, basically saying
not enough color.
Yeah, there's not enough color. It's very whitewashed at the moment.
You need more black people in your vlogs. You need to represent all the races.
Yeah, as a black guy, they found it just very. It didn't represent them. I'm like, well, you know.
I don't want to hear this white guy's opinions. Why have I've specifically chosen this video out of millions, and I'm offended by it not having exactly what I wanted from it.
Yeah, it's actually perhaps maybe not a good example, but a good point. It's like there's so much other shit. Just look at something else. But anyway, so somebody commented though that like the cartoons are good enough and the vlogs I don't need to explain them. Which I thought was an odd comment.
Well, yeah,
anyway,
you already
and I
know
was
that.
like,
You know that they
yeah, and I said,
yeah.
well, I didn't respond to them because it was kind of from I heard it through a third party. But nonetheless, I was like, well, if the cartoons need to be explained, then they're shit cartoons. So clearly I'm not doing it for that reason. But that was the point. Like, somebody criticized both things I was doing, the vlogs and the IC Pigeons thing. The first one, I stopped because when they said it, I was like, yeah, I already actually knew that. But hearing it again, I'm like, yeah, I'm not happy with that. But with the vlogs, I was like, well, no, I've thought of that. And that's not why it's happening.
Yeah.
So the vlogs are continuing. And same with yours. If somebody said to you about yours that you were already doubting, it's a lot hard to take that information.
Yeah.
But if it's something that they say, and you're like, no, I've done it for a reason, then you can just easily brush it aside.
Yeah. I got a message to my page recently where someone said, I really like your stuff. Why isn't it coming out quicker? Or something like that. And I was just like, well...
Because there's no schedule, motherfucker.
Well... And see, I've been dreading that. I've been dreading that question because as soon as I make a Patreon, I am making some sort of promise to people. And
yeah, I guess so.
I think 2 people are paying me $10 a month, which is like super duper. I'm real happy about that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And
that's
if I'm only
subscription,
if I'm only releasing one a month,
yeah,
like I can barely justify that. Just barely.
But you're not having to justify it. That's not up to you, because
they seem to be okay with it. Yes.
Well, they chose, like, I'm not giving you any money a month. I'm taking all of your content for free.
Yeah.
And I've made that decision. Like, well, I think it's worth nothing.
Oh, Giles is doing some good stuff. I'm going to take that for free.
Yeah. But these guys clearly think, well, that's worth $10, that one image.
Yeah. I'm giving it all out for free. So I've chosen to do that as well. I've chosen for it to be free and payment to be optional. I would just... Yeah, investing in the goodness of humanity it's not always going to have good returns, but
yeah. Well, I would just adopt the attitude of fuck them. It's like they donated money to you, and now they're not happy that you delivered the content they particularly wanted.
It wasn't a Patreon backer that said it. It was just another guy who's consuming my content for free saying like, you should do more of it. And I was just like, well, fuck. I said to him like, thanks. Because he said, nice. I like your art. Because he was being nice. He's like, I just want to see more of it.
Well, I mean, that's also just, some people just aren't good at talking to artists or other people in general. Like that some people find it really hard to give a compliment, and they have to water it down, I think. It's an odd thing, but I think a lot of people find it that like they can't just say, oh, nice hair or nice shirt, that's a great shirt. They have to be like, I don't know what you'd add to that, but you know what I'm talking about, right? People always add a little twist to it, so it's not a direct compliment.
Yeah.
And because you always notice when someone just comes out and says, "Hey, that's great," and you're like, and no, that's it. It's just good. It's a good thing that you have. It's good. You're like, oh wow, that's a big deal for me. Someone to say that, which it shouldn't be. That should be, for the most part, the extent of a compliment.
I've been very, I don't know. I've been very lucky in that I've gotten a lot of positive feedback. To the point where I haven't yet received any negative feedback, which I'm quite happy about. But people don't. I think I create the idea that people aren't going to be able to help me with criticism or feedback because I'm not. I'm also not looking for it. I have all the self-criticism I need to improve, if you know what I mean. And that might be a cocky thing to say, but I'll go to people for business advice, like how do I market myself better. But
Yeah.
even then, like I've done all right in that regard.
Yeah.
This is what the guy actually said. Hey yo, hey yo, why are you taking so much time to post now? I like your stuff. So I was like,
that's
thank
that's
you.
bizarre. Especially opening with that.
Yeah.
It's like yeah. You need to know the entire situation. Like, what if you're working like a 50-hour week and this is just you're going through sleepless nights trying to get this art done? You know, he has got no fucking clue what the situation is.
That's not the situation.
That's
for sure.
so far from the situation.
That's like a lot of my stuff only took maybe like 2 sessions to do, which may have been like 4 or 5 hour sessions of like cleaning up and stuff like that. Yeah. But I actually have to experience life so that I have inspiration, so that something comes to me.
Yeah.
I can't actually just keep churning it out because I'm so inspired and all of this shit. Like I need to have a bad day so I can go, all right, this I can turn into something.
This is actually what I talked about on my vlog today. That I'll be posting later. Or I guess for whoever's listening to this, it will be already posted, but regardless. Is like the different ways of working on this kind of thing. And because you and I, we're not doing it for anybody else. Like there's no boss. We're not being published by anyone or anything like that. So it's totally up to us. And it's just figuring out how you work and what works for you.
Yeah.
And obviously for you, you want to react to something directly.
Yeah. Freedom.
Well, for me, I find it easier to motivate myself when I set that deadline that I'm going to post a one every single day. So it'll come to a point when I'm like, oh shit, we've got nothing to post. So I'll sit down and like just scroll through endless waves of art and until I find something that inspires me and think, there's an idea. If I wait around for ideas, often I just keep second guessing them. But yeah, no, it just works differently for everybody. Like that is, and it's important to find what works for you.
I second guess as well, like hugely. The thing is, I always listen to my second guesses. I've never been like on the fence about one of my art pieces because by the time I've finished it, every time I felt uneasy about a line or a symbol, I'll change it. Like. So even looking back on my older stuff now, I still go, yeah, that's exactly what I wanted it to be. And I'm not embarrassed by it or anything like that. Even if I think I actually used to go much more bare on myself. Like I used to care a lot less about how vulnerable the piece was. If you know what I mean. Like I was actually at one point in time I was allowing myself to just embarrass myself. I think that was what I was consciously doing. I was just like, well, I've only got this one self, and I'm going to just by nature of revealing it to people, I'm going to embarrass it, and I'm going to make it look silly. And I was just like, all right, well, if I do that as best I can, it's just going to be a good thing. Like, people are going to enjoy it. It's enjoyable to watch someone try something.
Yeah.
Even if they fail, it's good to watch someone try.
Yeah. And it's inspiring, regardless of the outcome.
Yeah, totally. Just like us seeing the stand-up. Like, I actually felt refreshed that people were getting up there and not making a good joke or making a good set. Them trying to think to themselves, oh, how could I improve that set or whatever, you know?
Yeah. Got me thinking about as well. Just the idea of like learning to embarrass yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, part of I think because what we're doing is it reminds me of people like. I don't know. I just remember watching an interview
Leonardo
with
da Vinci. You can say it.
Yeah. Well, Kanye West, Google,
Nike.
I don't know. You see what you'd call veterans of entertainment, especially in talking about comedians.
Oh yeah.
Especially people who are very opinionated about things.
Yeah.
one thing they just have to learn to do, and it can take a long time, and some people never get there, is learning to just throw yourself out there to be totally prepared to make a fucking ass of yourself, but then just be able to admit that. And when it comes back in your face, you're just like, well, yeah, I fucked up. That's how this works. You can't possibly go through life being an entertainer or anything and make jokes and make political comments and make social commentary without offending people, without looking like an idiot, without getting facts wrong. Like, it just, you can't go through life achieving that.
Interestingly, I've just been researching the Kinks a little bit. Been listening to their music again. It's brilliant stuff. Ray, so there are brothers basically fronted that band, the Davies brothers. Let me just turn down this background music a little bit.
It's pretty epic.
So you got Ray Davies, who basically I would consider the lead singer, and Dave Davies, the younger brother, who is only credited on a few songs that are completely his songs, although he worked on maybe all of them with Ray. Yeah. Ray does not make a joke of himself, and he doesn't criticize himself. So he's made this like very strong note of he answers questions that suggest his brilliance and his fame and all of this stuff, but he's just like, I don't really address mistakes I've made or anything like that. It's like, there's no point. I'm leaving behind my perfect image. I'm not going to admit to fault and stuff like that, which I thought was because it was his brother who was basically talking about this, Dave, who for a very long time felt that he couldn't make it on his own, so he stuck with him, kind of thing. Yeah. But they just didn't get along for a long time, and eventually completely fell out and stopped talking for a long time. But I think the reason that stuff happens is because they couldn't laugh at themselves, or there was some version of the joke that they were experiencing that they didn't want to find funny and couldn't accept, or at least Dave could, but Ray couldn't. So Ray's living in a bubble. Ray has created a bubble for himself. I am the accomplished musician that I am, and any information to the contrary is slander and defamation and stuff. But really, he's just as much a joke as everyone else. Yeah.
He's just a guy. He's
a working class bloke from England.
This is one of my favorite things about comedians and watching groups of comedians together on behind the scenes kind of footage and stuff like that, is just watching everyone just tear each other apart constantly. But they're all clearly like, well, we're still all going to get up on stage and we're all still doing this professionally. Like, we're all still clearly loving every second, doing this because we love it. That's why we can tear each other apart, because we know who we are, and this keeps us grounded. You know, if you if you can laugh at every aspect of yourself, that doesn't instantly make those things.
Everybody.
G'day, mate.
Rock your body.
Yeah. Everybody.
Just because something's funny doesn't make it inherently like a bad thing that you have to get rid of.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Right. Scat. Back street. Back. Alright. Nah, hey, what's up, everyone?
We can't monetize. We can't monetize this now, Joel.
No, we can actually. I think it won't matter. You know what I mean?
Well,
the royalties for the Backstreet Boys. I think
it's all going to them now.
They could probably use it. The Backstreet Boys.
They need all the help they can get.
I'm thinking of NSYNC. NSYNC were a cool bunch of dudes. Don't know about Backstreet Boys. We were talking about how you can either embrace the joke or you can, deny it and then pretend that you're like a perfect, unflawed person.
Like when you talk about butthole jokes in front of old people, and they're just like, stop it with your potty mouth.
Yeah, I guess
Kind of.
I don't. Yeah, it does relate to that. Yeah, if old people, I think some old people anyway, they're about to die or like they're getting close to death, and if they can't like laugh at that, then they're gonna be like afraid right up to the end.
Yeah, that's
freaks
actually
me
that's
out.
that's a good point. Good example.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go out laughing.
It's more
I
like.
know.
Yep. Go.
No, I don't know how I'm gonna go.
So it's just more like, especially if you're making something. If you take it too seriously, it's instantly gonna fail in a way. I don't know. No, you just
Yeah.
won't be able to take criticism if you take it too seriously.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless that works for people, I guess. Unless that dramatic attitude towards it takes it to a level that they were looking for. I don't know. But I can't do it. I can't take it. I say drama. I hate dramatizing something, taking it out of reality. It just seems so absurd to me. Anyway, and that just, I guess that's in all things. Just when people speak, if people open their mouth, it sounds like a fucking daytime drama show.
Yeah.
And if they're talking about their own art, especially, then that's even worse. What the fuck are you? How can you think that this exists? How can you think this is real?
Give us an example.
Actually, a good example is listening to Nikki did an interview the other day about cello and stuff like that. And the interviewer asked her, like, so why did you pick cello? What is it about the cello that drew you to the instrument? And already that question
Drew you to the instrument.
Yeah, sounds so pretentious to me. But you can just picture the answer from a pretentious wanker of a musician. He's like, well, I think the cello is probably the closest to the human form, so that really speaks to me. It's the most versatile, and I just find it really connects with my soul. The way you embrace the cello, it feels like you're cuddling someone from behind as you play it. But Nikki was just like, I don't know, I already played it at school. I don't really, it's just another instrument. It's just whatever instrument works for you.
It's
like,
a
well,
bit,
that's
it's a bit like
reasonable.
it's a bit like hugging someone from behind and shoving a dildo in them,
It's exactly like that.
while also strangling them with your left hand.
Both skills are interchangeable.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of successful porn actresses and actors who have then gone on to play in quite successful orchestras around the world.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And vice versa.
And vice versa.
But yeah. Just I don't know how to finish that. It just frustrates the fuck out of me. I can't stand listening to it. It just seems so absurd to me.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Um,
I've been there. I remember I was at a party. I was sitting on the couch with my friend, and it looked like the scene from a soap opera. The way you described it is good.
Yeah.
I was watching them. These two people were just like, I just want to talk to this person, and they said this thing, and it was really insensitive because this thing is happening in my life.
Yeah.
And it was etc. And my friend said to me, he's like, it's like we're sitting in front of a television right now, and it's all playing out. And it's just like, well, if that person wasn't insecure, there would be no drama anywhere. But because they felt entitled to being offended, and they felt like them being offended was meaningful enough that it had to change the behavior of the people around them. Like, it was just this whole nightmare of just nothingness. It was so stupid. And then my friend and I just went back to whatever we were doing, and we almost like took a sigh of relief, like, hey, we don't have to deal with that shit anymore.
Yeah.
Like, we've sort of gotten rid of it.
I think that's a really good example, and it's one of the frustrates me the most is like, can I just talk to this person privately at the moment for a second?
Dude.
And it's like, and you're speaking to like 3 other people, so you're asking 3 other people to leave. So there's maybe 2 things that you could realistically want that situation. You could, maybe you're planning a surprise party for one of those other people, and you're like, those, if they're not here, then we can talk about it, but they're here and they're going to ruin the surprise party. And then maybe the second one is you have launch codes and the other person is the only one who has access to them. that's also perhaps reasonable. Any other reason is just total absurdity. No one gives two shits about you and your bloody relationships.
But
They've
also,
all got their own bullshit going on.
Also, take the person out of the room to talk to them. Don't tell everyone in the room to fucking leave.
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, let's try and figure out how important my drama is by seeing how many people I can get to leave the room.
Yeah. That's totally You're making it seem like it's a much bigger deal to everybody else. Like if it was actually, if you want to be personal, that's fine. If you want your privacy, that's fine. But when I've got something to keep private, it just never comes up, and that keeps it totally private. I never say this. No, I can't tell you. I can't tell you. It's like it would never have even come into existence in the conversation. I've never said.
Some people,
obviously I have, but nowadays I try not to.
Some people fish for it. They'll dance around it just so you finally go, okay, what happened the other day? Like, they'll be like, oh yeah, I had a similar bad day just recently, and they won't say anything, and they'll be like, I totally know where you're coming from. And it's just like, all right, what happened to you a couple days ago? And they're like, oh, I don't want to bring it all up. Yes, you do.
Yeah.
That
you can go through whole conversations. You can go through you don't go through a conversation. You talk to someone for like 20 minutes, and they're just always diverting things slightly. It's like, okay, you clearly want to talk about what your thing. You don't give a shit. Just go for it. I don't care. You've made a big enough deal about it. It's such an unattractive feature of anybody.
At the Geo Palace Symposium, which I thought was a fantastic party. Big thank yous to Cameron.
How parties should be done.
And we were in one of the domes, so there are only 2 domes, right? In the smaller dome, where everyone's meant to chill out, as much as the other big dome, people chill out, but that's where the DJ set is. This person was sitting in the back of the dome, and they just sort of said, I'm going through some really rough stuff at the moment, and I'm just wondering if I could have some time to myself. And I was like, wait, what? You're in the only other relaxation dome here, and you're asking everybody to leave so you can have some time to yourself? Like, just fuck off to the bush for a little while or something.
Just leave.
Like, she was like, I would really appreciate it if you just gave me some time to myself. I was like, you're not just claiming one of these entire domes to yourself. Fuck, everyone's going through some shit right now.
That's just poor economics. That's just not how it works.
I zoned the fuck out for so long. Who the fuck was that?
It was I'm not gonna name names, but it was there was this girl who was just she would only ever talk about the issues she was having, and
was that girl that was very, very sad the whole time?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
And I like every time she was visibly sad, I would engage her and say, like, what's going on? How can I help, kind of thing. But when she was like, I'd really like some time to myself, and I was just like, I'm not gonna fucking leave this dome. This is where we are all hanging out right now. Like, don't push it.
I want to be alone fairly often, and what I tend to do is I tend to just leave wherever I am.
Yeah.
And 100% of the time that has solved the issue.
Could everyone just leave the room for a little bit while I...
Do you guys just want to leave the Discord while I have a...
Yeah, we'll all leave. We'll leave the podcast, Joel, so you can have some time to yourself.
Yeah.
Actually, I just need to speak to the audience really quick. I just got something to tell them. Can you guys just push off for a bit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm back. I left for a second, but I'm back.
Did you need me to leave the room entirely, or is it okay if I deafen myself?
Yeah, if you could actually just turn off your computer.
If you're in
Joel,
this, if you could leave the room that your laptop is in, so that your laptop has some time to itself as well, that would be really good.
If you could also unfollow us on Twitter for a little bit as well, that'd be great.
Going back to that girl. Actually, nah, I don't.
Well, I mean, she doesn't. Oh, wait, how do I say this in a nice way? I was gonna say she doesn't really exist. I was gonna say, because we haven't named her and because she won't listen to this and she won't know who it was or anything. This
out of our thousands of listeners,
this character can just be the object of, we can focus some sort of energy towards it, because it's in the ether. It's not a real character, really. It's like a yeah. Go on, tell a story. Tell us a story.
I think they're actually extremely mentally unwell.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Yeah. I think she ended up going to the hospital the day after or 2 days.
Well,
after.
she didn't take any drugs that whole weekend. Apparently, that's what she said. Anyway, she stayed sober for it, which I respected, and I thought, yeah, if you're going through some shit, that's the best way to do it. And she probably went to the hospital because of the clarity that the party gave her. If you ask me, she probably went, yeah, I need some help, or whatever.
Never know. I was getting some very, very bad vibes of her all night.
Yeah, it seemed like it was unnecessary too, because people were engaging her, but she was still.
She was just crying for some reason and she'd always be crying. I was like, ooh, righto.
I mean, you want to give people the benefit of the doubt, and if there is some rough stuff, then that's fine. I guess that would explain the situation. But then it also seems it's tad off to just go to a doof at all in that situation.
The whole time.
Yeah.
Crying's okay when you... See, I see a lot of psychedelic experiences to be one that you purge emotions. You actually get into the thick of it, and then maybe you do a bit of a scream, bit of a cry, bit of a whatever. You just get all the shit. You just purge. It'd be
fucking terrifying if somebody just started screaming.
Oh,
at the top
dude,
of
it
their fucking
happens,
lungs on the
man.
dance
It
floor.
happens, man. No, on the dance floor, maybe not, but
some guy at Earthcore just started screaming on the dance floor. Not Earthcore, fucking another one. I'm not gonna name it just because. Alright. Oh yeah, I was just gonna do it around April.
Yeah.
And this guy started screaming on the dance floor.
Yeah.
And he just fell down, and then they had to cart him off.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah,
Jesus.
I seen plenty of people OD at Rainbow.
Yeah, right.
Well, it's weird. I remember watching this guy passed out in the tent, and they pulled out this long ass fucking needle and shoved it in his arm. And I was like, what the fuck is going on here?
Well, when you think about how many men there are out there who just feel like they can take on the fucking world, and
then
they go to Rainbow and they're just like, all right, this is it. This is where it's like the song Tachyon, just the head full of fire or whatever. They've maybe done some meth. They're just like, I'm gonna go as hard as I possibly can, and that's where you OD. That's the point where you're just like, all right, maybe I can take too much. Maybe I can't handle everything.
And they're always big bodybuilder dudes, and they give their small tiny ass girlfriends the same amount, and you just see them absolutely fucked, and you're just like, oh my
Jesus
god! And just dude,
how stupid can you be?
Yeah,
that's absurd.
Yeah. Bodybuilder stupid.
Well, the boys, you with the boys, let's do some GH fucking B.
Let's just take something that literally knocks us the fuck out. That'd be fun.
How can that sounds like just the worst time. I'm not gonna say the drugs aren't a bad idea. I mean, drugs aren't a good idea because drugs are a great idea. But to go into a giant crowd and have so much that you know that you're either gonna freak out or die. It just seems like that is the one. If you're gonna have way too much, I want to do that privately. So I have this crazy trip, and I might come away as an entirely different person.
Well,
but in a giant crowd.
We're talking about two different substances when we're talking about too much.
Yeah.
I can imagine being carted away because you've taken too much acid, but you're not screaming. Yeah, you can scream and yell.
Screaming.
Yeah, you could be screaming.
Some people absolutely wig out and fucking.
But in terms of physical damage and nuisance, acid's more likely going to make you turn into a baby. It's more likely to make you become a baby than it is to make you into this violent lashing state. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Dude,
unless there's already something there.
All the boys on fucking GHB just want to punch on. I don't know why. They just all fucking start fighting each other.
It's crazy.
Fucking hell.
Also, if you like overdo it on GHB, all your fucking internal organs start shutting down.
Yeah, well,
your heart stops, and then you gotta smoke fucking shard to come out of it.
Oh, what?
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's when you blow out, you gotta smoke shard.
When you blow out.
Because your heart stops, I think.
Crazy. See, what I understand of GHB...
What's this called? GHP is what
no,
we're saying.
B. See, I understood it as the chemical that basically shuts down your, like, physical, like, your motor skills. That's what I thought it was. I thought it was a date rape drug.
Yeah, it is.
So people are doing it to themselves.
Yeah.
And then doing shard to get out of it.
Oh my god.
Yeah, pretty much.
Was this someone just, like, having a bit of fun or something? Like, what?
No.
Is this
like,
common?
Yeah. Go to Cloud9 and then, like, you'll see all these chicks and they're just like, oh, my friend's blowing out. Do you have any shard, man? And you know.
Okay, well, yeah, I'm reading up about it now. Look at the...
Ooh, alright. Feelings of euphoria, increased sex drive, lowered inhibitions, memory lapses, drowsiness, clumsiness, dizziness, headache, lowered temperature and heart rate, tremors, nausea, diarrhea,
Lovely.
and urinary incontinence. I cannot wait to see someone.
Wow, so you basically
piss
piss and shit yourself in euphoria.
Yeah, while also wanting to have sex.
See, it's tough, but you can get euphoria just from, you know,
sex,
yes. And
the thing that they're aiming for.
And a nice
do it quite well.
See, I've had moments of total euphoria where I've sat down on a train and put on a nice song and just like maybe been a little bit high, maybe just a little bit high, and just felt great. Just like, yep, I'm on my way somewhere, feeling good. I'm listening to a track, looking at the countryside.
Yep.
I don't need to date rape myself. And I don't think...
Well, some people have just been on too many train rides. They're a bit desensitized to that now. They step it up, so you got to date rape yourself.
So they start what's it called? BDSM version of train rides.
Yeah. You've seen the ads. Train rides are just a gateway drug to...
Bus rides.
Just bus rides and then bus rides.
And then you're accepting
taxi rides.
You're accepting a ride from a truck driver, and then it's all downhill from there. Yep. You're snorting shoe polish while you're
in a caboose on a freight train going to a different country than you started.
It's hauling cattle, so it smells like shit. And you're sniffing shoe polish
like a great metaphor.
Because it makes your butthole
hauling
tighter.
Cattle.
What? Poppers.
Yeah, poppers.
Yeah, some cunt fucking drank that at Rainbow and died.
Yeah.
Silly boy.
Well, this
Did anyone die at the Melbourne Cup?
Whole bunch of horses.
Nah, horses died.
Melbourne Cup.
I don't think people die there because I don't know. They probably don't.
They probably have.
Well, I guess it only goes for one day, so
less chance to like be dehydrated and pass out, and then they also have probably much better medical staff on hand at the Melbourne Cup rather than Rainbow.
Yeah, it's not as spread out and like it's easy to get onto it. Like I guess because there's no signal or anything like that out at Rainbow. You just literally have to run to the fucking medical tent and be like, or to one of the helper tents around and just be like, yeah, my friend's dying, and they'll be like, whoa, and then they'll fucking fang it out in the car. I remember watching this one cart with like the bodyboard on the back just fanging it, and there was this little bump, and they fucking got air, and like when they came back down, the guys were like bouncing around in the car, and the bodyboard thing fell off, and had to fucking stop and get it. Yeah, it was fucked.
Wait, so people flew off the car?
No, they like bounced pretty hard in the seat. I'm pretty sure they had seatbelts and stuff in them.
Yeah, right.
But it looked like they weren't having a fun time. You having fun time? No.
I'm glad this is sort of like alternative news right now. This is like Doof news.
Yeah, well, if you don't talk have you heard about
it's the time of year.
Well, sorry, an ad started playing on a news site that I had to close immediately. Anyway, go on.
Earthcool, what about it?
Earthcool was a fucking nightmare, apparently.
Oh, really?
Yeah. What happened? 36 or 32 or something like that. As the DJs pulled out because they weren't paid.
Whew.
They
Good
had
reason to pull out.
yeah on on the first night.
This bitch ain't paying me. I'm gonna pull out.
Yep.
On the first night, they only had one stage open, which could only hold up to 200 people. And
Yeah, I
after-
heard that people had to
Yeah.
queue up to go see the DJs that they were promised.
Yeah, because they only had 3 security guards working. And
What?
I think yeah. And you have to have an amount of security guards per patron, I think. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And yeah, there was
a lot
that.
more than that.
All the guards ended up abandoning their posts, so people were just driving in for free.
Fucking hell.
And then yeah, it's just fucked apparently.
It's people thinking that like because these festivals are partly off the books that like they can get away with whatever. And for the most part they do get away with whatever, but there are a certain amount of things that need to actually be. First of all, you got to have some sort of first aid at whatever you're doing. You got to make sure you pay whatever guy you organize to come. And yeah, if people, you make it a donation, so it's not necessarily like wrong to turn up without money, but don't expect to make money from everything you're throwing, I would say.
There's also a number of sexual assaults reported at Earthcore this year.
Ugh.
A 23-year-old was charged with cannabis possession.
Fair
That
enough,
seems
fucking
absurd.
dirty dog maggot.
Right? Who the fuck takes weed to a music festival?
Yeah, keep it at home, you little fucking dropkick dickhead.
The medical staff had to deal with numerous drug presentations? What does that mean?
Did people
anyway.
just come up to first aid guys and say, like, hey, I've got drugs? They had to deal with that, which is it's terrible.
I don't think anyone died. Which is good.
That's great, dude. If people were dying, I think this guy would get in a lot more trouble. The guy who was hosting it. Who calls I think he calls himself Spyro.
Yeah, Spyro, something like that.
It's almost a surprise when someone doesn't die at one of these music festivals, though.
I'm surprised no one died at Earthcore.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. All the other ones are pretty good though.
Just don't
There
drink
might be
shoe
multiple
polish.
Earthcores, though, actually. Is
Yeah,
there?
there are. There's there
So
have
the
been
Sydney
the
one.
only one that went through was the Victorian one.
Yeah. Yeah, the Sydney one got cancelled.
Yeah, and Western Australia too, and Queensland.
Well, no one should go to those states anyway.
He tried to expand.
Yeah.
It's not that he's done this. He's done all this stuff in like the years before and stuff like that. It's just new kids like come on the scene and they're just like, yeah, let's go to fucking Earthcore.
Yeah, I reckon there's a crossover. There's like, you've got your alternative living hippie types who come to them and then they just have a good time because they try and live this way. But then you've got the people who go to like Soundwave and shit who are poorly dressed because they're like, they're trying to show off their skin or whatever. They're just like dressed shittily. They're like, it sounded like I was slut shaming for a second there. That's not how I intended it. I meant like people wearing fluoro like short shorts because they're on enough MDMA that they don't need to wear anything warm or something. They're going to they go to festivals. They drink to the point that they pass out, and they listen to the shittiest music. That's the crowd that's coming in. It's back in the day.
Back Stereo Sonic, Brad.
you need the grassroots festivals with the alternative living hippie guys rather than the big Blink 182 headlining music festivals where it's just dickheads fucking thick with dick.
And on that thick dick note, that's actually bringing us to the end of this podcast.
I really wish I could have said something more interesting just then, but I just couldn't.
That was good. We talked about how to be a creative and how to do drugs until you die.
And how to be Yeah, how to be creative and take criticism and all of this shit. We talked about a lot of inspiring stuff, and then we just drug
That's
the
a good-
hardcore.
I gotta say something to someone, man.
Yeah.
My fucking laptop died.
What, your new
My
one?
Yeah, my fucking brand new one, dude.
How?
Well, I'm using it right now, but I can't play video games on it, and I'm so mad. The graphics card like artifacts now, and then shit appears on the screen, and then happens every game.
Oh,
I'm
get some
playing,
new
it just
drivers
crashed.
or something.
Nah, I've deleted all my drivers, and then I fucking rolled back my hard drive to like a old state, and then it still happened, and I was just like, yeah, it's probably a fucking hardware problem.
Yeah, get onto that quick. All right, it's 5 o'clock. We're at the end of our show.
Bye.
Goodbye to everybody.
Alright.
Have you got use your sound effects? You gotta say goodbye.
Yes, that's so. We're gonna start with a bit of this.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.